too far ahead to the tour bottom deck. How we doing today? All right, sound pretty good. And now everybody on the back of the boat, we can't really hear you guys, but see a little wave or thumbs up from you guys back there. All right, awesome. Now everybody on the top deck, we can't really see or hear you guys, but let's hear a little tap tap with those feet if you're having a good day up there. All right, sounding pretty good. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so we aren't complete strangers with our time together. Now, my name is Gabrielle, and I'll be your tour guide today. Now, I just finished my junior year at Portage High School. Now, Portage is about 15-20 minutes away from here, so I am a local to the area. So if you guys have any questions about the river, not about the river, feel free to ask away. I am a tour guide here in the Upper Dells and also on the Lower Dells. So again, if you have any questions, I can probably come up with an answer for you. Now that being said, I'm super excited to spend my summer out here on the river, and we only have a couple more weeks left of summer. I'll be heading back to school, but I'm really looking forward to my senior year, although it is a little bit bittersweet with my last season for volleyball and softball. But I'm really looking forward to going off to college and getting away from my parents. All right, now that's gonna be enough for me for a little bit, and I'll hand it off to your pilot.
Good morning, everybody, and I too would like to welcome you aboard the Joliet. My name is Luke, and I'm going to be your captain out here on the river today. I'm just about to start up my second year down at UW Milwaukee. There I run on their Division I track and field team, and I'm getting my degree in dog walking. Somebody's got to do it, right? I'm getting my degree in finance and psychology. That's going quite well after my first year. I am also a local of the area. I'm from Reedsburg, Wisconsin. Now, Reedsburg is actually a bitter rival of Portage, where Gabrielle is from. So if you folks need to know one thing about Reedsburg, it's that, well, it's just a little bit better than Portage at everything. That's right, go Beavers. I am seriously a local of the area. So if you guys have any questions about the river, not about the river, hotels, foods, drinks, attractions, or who your duck driver should be, certainly do not be afraid to ask. This is my fourth summer here at Dells Boat Tours, my third full summer driving these big blue and white boats, so hopefully by the end of our time together, you guys will understand what keeps me coming back each and every year. That is going to do it for this stuff about me. I do have a couple rules and regulations I have to say before every tour. The first of which is please remain seated. Once again, please stay in your seat. The Joliet might rock and sway out here on the river today. Bottom deck, if that rocking and swaying makes you nauseous, please remember our windows down here are open. But more importantly, top deck, if that makes you nauseous, please remember our windows down here are open. That's kind of a joke, but not really. We do understand that it is a scenic tour, so if you guys would like to stand quickly to take a picture, that's perfectly okay. Just find your seat immediately following that. Our next rule is no smoking. Once again, please no smoking. We are sitting on top of 2 gasoline-powered engines. This boat was meant to go through the water and not fly through the air, so we ask that you do not smoke on board today. We do have one designated smoking area at the end of the Witches Gulch Trail. That's the only point in our entire 2 hours together that it is okay to smoke. Our last and the most important rule is we humbly request when your tour guide Gabrielle or myself is on the microphone, if you guys could keep your louder cell phone conversations to a minimum. I understand that you guys might be tired of our bad jokes, but maybe the people around you are not, and you know what I'd like to say about that rule? We're all in the same boat, folks. We're all in the same. If you didn't like that one, this is probably going to be the longest 2 hours of your entire life. That is going to do it for rules and regulations. I'm not a big rules guy, I just like to have a good time out here on the river, so let's get our tour started. Today we are riding on the Wisconsin River. It gets its headwaters up in a beautiful lake called Lac Vieux des Airs on the northern Wisconsin-Michigan border. From there it flows diagonally southwest across the entire state of Wisconsin for 432 miles till it empties into the mighty Mississippi just south of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin at Wyalusing State Park. That makes it the longest state-contained river in the entire United States. It is also one of the hardest working and damnedest rivers of its kind, as along the way there are 27 dams, 21 of those are hydroelectric, and 6 are flood control. The very first one of those dams built here on the Wisconsin River was built right here in Wisconsin Dells, backed by our home docks. It is the Kilbourne Dam, built back in 1909. It was quite the modern marvel for its time, as it was the largest hydroelectric project attempted west of Niagara Falls. Back in those days, it created so much power there is no use for it around here, so they sent it down to Milwaukee to power their streetcars and rail cars. These days, the power from the Kilbourne Dam is used for 10,000 area homes and businesses. I think that's all pretty cool, so Gabrielle and myself, be sure to point that out to you on our way back downriver. That is going to do it for me for now. I'll give it back over to Gabrielle. Now, we actually just had our end of the year party. They gave away a bunch of awards, and Gabrielle won Tour Guide of the Year for 2019. So you guys are in great hands today. I do think she gives an outstanding tour, the best tour on the Wisconsin River. I would even like to call it tour-rific. So please sit back, relax, enjoy the beautiful and scenic Upper Dells of the Wisconsin River. Welcome aboard, everybody.
I saw one over there. Well, thank you, Luke. All right, now our first 2 points, which are going to be off to the front of the boat, and then a rock formation off to our right and to the left. The one off to our right is called High Rock. And everybody say High Rock. High Rock. All right, awesome. Now, High Rock is at 65 feet tall into the air. Now, saving rock formation across the river to our left is Romance Cliff. Since about 10 feet tall or about 75 feet. Now, these two together create the jaws to the Upper Dells. Now, as we pass through the river, is at its deepest point at about 110 feet. It's also the conjuncture of 4 different counties in Wisconsin: Sauk, Juneau, Adams, and Columbia. So that we pass through there, you can say you've been in 4 places at once. And now looking off to the right side of the boat, you're going to see a rock formation that resembles a stack of pancakes if you're a little creative or hungry this morning. Now this is Shimmy Rock, and I get to say for when early settlers first came here, that resembled a stick and mortar chimney structure used during the time period. Now Chimney Rock is a great example of wind, water, and frost erosion. And it's also the second most photographed rock formation here in the Upper Dells, and a close second to Stand Rock, which we'll see later on in our tour. And still following this right shoreline, you're going to see our next rock formation. It's going to be Blackhawk's Profile, as his most prominent feature being his nose that sticks out over the Wisconsin River, a slit just above as his eyes and slit below as his mouth. Again, if you're feeling a little creative this morning, you could also say all the trees around could make up his headdress. Now, this rock formation was named after Blackhawk, the Native American leader of the Fox and Sauk tribes here in the Wisconsin Dells. And now if you look up to either side of the boat, look just above the water on all these beautiful rocky cliffs we'll be seeing today. Going to be a common thread throughout our tour. Now this is called Potsdam or Cambrian sandstone. Now sandstone is a very coarse rock. If you were to put it into your hand and crumble it, it would return right back to sand. Now this specific sandstone is only found in 4 different places in the world: Potsdam, Germany, Zurich, Switzerland. There are little bit deposits in Upper New York, and the largest deposit right here in the Wisconsin Dells. Now this sandstone does have a natural cooling effect. Out here on the water, it's about 5 degrees difference from downtown or the mainland. And then at our first stop at Witches Gulch, you'll notice about a 10 to 15 degrees difference. And now if you go to either side of the boat, look down into the water and notice the brownish tint. Now many people think the Wisconsin River is polluted or muddy, but it actually gets its color from tannic acid. Now even though tannic acid sounds like it'd be gross, it isn't harmful at all. The Wisconsin River flows through swamps of tamarack trees up north, and as it passes through there, it picks up the tannic acid through the roots and gives it the pigment that you see today. And depending on how you started your morning, you may already consume some tannic acid. It can be found in coffee, teas, Coca-Cola, wines, and a bottle of Jack Daniels Luke finished off before our tour today. And now if you look out to the front of the boat, you can see a path that's split into 2 different directions. Now the one off to our left is the old riverbed, and the one to the right, the new river channel or the Narrows. Now the old riverbed is only about 4 feet deep, so pontoon, jet skis, anything like that can easily fit through there. With our 5-foot draft, we will be taking the path on the right. And if you look off to the left side of the boat, you're actually going to see an eagle just above the old riverbed. You're going to be looking for the tree that kind of sticks out over the top of them. If you go to the top of that tree, follow it down, you see a little gap in the branches. You'll see the bald eagle up there to our left. And you look for that tree that kind of sticks out over the rest of them. If you go to the top of that tree, follow it down, you see the gap in the branches. So the bald eagle sitting up there. Again, off to our left.
Wow, it's nice, Mina.
Now these two channels, the riverbed and the narrows, actually create an island off to the left side of the boat, and this is called Black Hawk's Island. Now it gets the same from his rumored Black Hawk and his people were hiding out here from our government troops. Now this was never proven, but the name just kind of stuck with it. Now Black Hawk's Island is owned by the UW Extension Network, and they allow different school groups, Boys and Girl Scout troops, and 4-H clubs to all come to the island and study the vegetation and wildlife. And the island does give them plenty to study, because almost every native tree to Wisconsin can be found on the island. And now if you got your left side of the boat, you're going to see two rock formations kind of coming off of the island. These are called the Twin Sisters, given their name with their similar size and shapes. Now the one directly to our left is named Kate, and her twin sister about 60 yards upstream, Duplicate. And now if you look up to the right side of the boat, we will be passing Chapel Gorge. Now this hits the same from a church-like setting created by the canopy of trees and the pulpit-shaped rock on the left. Now it's rumored many marriages have happened at Chapel Gorge, but it's said most of them end in divorce. But I guess that makes sense because you guys know what they say. A marriage that starts on the rocks usually ends on the rocks. Before Wisconsin was known for beer, cheese, the Green Bay Packers, and Aaron Rodgers, we were actually known for our lumber industry. Now, lumber rafts would cut down tall white pines, making them into rafts, then floating them down the Wisconsin River to the Mississippi and selling them along the way. Now, if you were to ask any one of these lumber raftsmen what the most dangerous part of their journey was, they would say right here in the Wisconsin Dells. More specifically, in the narrows which we are currently in. If you look out to the front of the boat, it's as if the river just disappears. And that is because there's a 9-degree bend within the river. Now as the lumber raftsmen would come down, many of them would crash into the rocks on the right-hand side as it would come around this corner, either getting badly injured or losing their lives. Now because of all these incidents, this corner got its name as the Devil's Elbow. Now with all these accidents that were happening, that actually created a very new career to fix the issue as a standing river pilot. The men would stand on those rocks, hop onto the rafts, and help the lumber raftsmen navigate through the narrows so they got safely to the lower dells. Now there were 4 standing river pilots. The most famous of these men was a man named Leroy Gates. And he actually was the very first billboard here in the Wisconsin Dells. If you go up to the left-hand side of the boat, you'll see the Leroy Gates inscription about 8 feet above the water in this dark cove. Now it is pretty weathered today, but it reads Leroy Gates, Dells and River Pilot from 1849 to 58. Now Leroy promised never to lose a raft or a raftsman, and he never did. When the lumber industry switched over to the railroad system as an easier way to transport and safer way to sell all of their lumber, Leroy actually lost his job out here on the river. But being the businessman that he was and his love for the area, he actually created the very first Dell's boat tours. Now, hopefully that sounds familiar because that is the ones that we are on today. However, back in 1857, it was a little different. You would head down to Leroy's private dock, hand him 2 quarters, and he'd hand you 2 oars. That's right, as the tours you would paddle up and down the Wisconsin River for up to 8 hours, while Leroy sat underneath the umbrella at the back of the boat, sipping a nice cold glass of lemonade, telling you tales and stories of the Wisconsin River. Now, I know Luke and I don't think that sounds like too terrible of a job. We hope our company's a little more accommodating today. And now if you go to the left side of the boat, you will see the old riverbed joining us again. And that is the end of the 210-acre stretch of Black Hawk's Island. And now if you look off to the right, you'll see these concrete docks over here. Now, we were to dock the Joliet, take that path up in there, it would take us to Coldwater Canyon and Fat Man's Misery. Now, these used to be part of our tours, but it would add about an extra hour, and we didn't want you guys to be the unlucky group with a 3-hour tour. So we save them for our ghost boats in the evenings. And so looking up to the right side of the boat, you're going to see a triangle-shaped rock coming into view now. This is called Giant Shield, and it acts as a natural high water marker out here on the river. Now, in 1993 and 2010, the water reached all the way to the top, and in 1938, it crested 4 feet above. Now, along with everything we have mentioned so far, Wisconsin is also known for all different types of wildlife. In the river, about 37 different species of fish, the largest being the lake sturgeon, because it's about 200 pounds and 7 feet long, so pretty big. And then on land, you can pretty much find anything you can find anywhere. With deer, rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, chipmunks, beavers, anything like that. We did see a bald eagle, so that's pretty cool. Make sure you look out for him as we're coming back. But, oh my gosh, guys, unless I just there's an alligator right over there. On the left side, there's an alligator, about a couple feet above the water, there's an alligator sitting right on the ledge. You guys see it? Did I catch you guys? It's our very own alligator out here in the Wisconsin River. Her name is Allie, a couple feet above the water, their mouth hanging wide open. Now, I know what all of you are thinking. Gabrielle, that is not an alligator. There aren't alligators in Wisconsin. No one believed you. We only looked because you were screaming. There's a couple of rocks that look like one, and I guess you're right. But I wasn't totally wrong, though. You could say that it was a crocodile. All right, now that's it for the commentary for a little bit. I'll be making my way around the boat to answer any questions you guys may have. Otherwise, you can just sit back.